not the resolution. Asking for
Are
a
we
change
still in
in
session?
the law to allow us to, put 49
All right, please, everyone,
Yeah.
we could move on through the balance of our finance agenda.
Motion to accept the minutes of the previous meeting?
We've already,
We did that
we already did that, Bill. We'll move right into action item 3.1. I'd just like to, on action item 3.1, to bring it to everyone's attention, there was a supplemental transfer that was distributed from the sheriff. I just want to make sure everybody's aware of that, in addition to what we have there for the transfer of funds. The chair will entertain a motion regarding 3.1. Mr. Sokol, Edna on the second. Good to see you, Edna. Any further discussion? Anybody? All those in favor of 3.1 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? 3.1 is carried. 3.2, request from the Treasurer's Office, request for a new contract with Drescher and Malecki LLP to provide annual single audit services for the term commencing J1/16 and terminating December 31st, 18, with the option of an additional 3-year term. Chair will entertain a motion, bring item 2A to the floor. Mr. Kenny on the second. Ms. Frazier, any discussion? There being none, are we ready for the question? All those in favor of item 2A signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item 2A is carried. Item 2B, request to ratify the actions of the county treasurer and to authorize a loan from the general fund in an amount not to exceed .8 million to Westmount Health Facility at an interest rate of 0.15%. Chair will entertain a motion regarding 2B. Mr. Taylor, second. Mr. Sokol. Treasurer's not here. Discussion. Fred?
Well, it appears to me we're talking about temporary funding until the IGT funding arrives. I don't have a problem with it.
Okay. We ready for the question? All those in favor of item 2B signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item 1 no. Mr. Kenny. Item 2B is...
Okay.
Oh, and Mr. Merlino, I'm sorry.
Brother by a different mother.
I see. He was, we have 2 noes. The motion is carried. 2B is approved. Item 3, a referral from the County Facilities Committee, Airport 3A, request to establish capital project H364, runway 30, obstruction removal in an amount of $80,000. Chair will entertain a motion regarding 3A.
Move A, B, and C, and D, please.
We have a motion to move A through D. Do we have a second to that motion, Mr. Taylor? Any discussion? There being none, we're ready for the question. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item 3A through D is approved. Item 4, referral from the Criminal Justice Committee, District Attorney, request for a contingent fund transfer in the amount of $7,070 to various budget codes to cover the on-call stipend program for 2015. Note, approval of this request will be contingent upon the Personnel Committee approval of implementation of the on-call stipend program retroactive to November 1st, 2015. I believe that was approved by Personnel. Chair will entertain a motion to bring 4A to the floor. Mr. Monroe on the second. Ms. Frazier, any further discussion? All those in favor of item 4A signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item 4A is carried. 4B, request to amend the 2015 county budget to include funds in the amount of $4,300 from the New York State Office of Indigent Legal Services. Chair will entertain a motion regarding 4B. Mr. Monroe on the second. Mr. Kenny. Any further discussion regarding 4B? There being none, all those in favor of 4B signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item 4B is carried. Item 5, referral from the Health Services Committee, Public Health. 5A, request to amend the 2015 county budget in the amount of $1,757 to include grant funds received for cost of living adjustments to the disease program. Chair will entertain a motion regarding 5A. Mr. Taylor on the second. Mr. Sokol. Further discussion? There being none, all those in favor of 5A signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item 5A is carried. Westmount Health Facility, request for a new contract with McCarthy and Conlon LLP for auditing services at Westmount Health Facility for the term commencing January 1, 2016 and terminating December 31st, 2016. Note this request was not reviewed or approved by the Health Services Committee. It was intended to be brought to committee in 16. However, due to concerns that auditing services might be required in a relation to sale of Westmount early in 2016, it was determined that the matter should be brought before the Finance Committee approval. Chair will entertain a motion regarding 5B. Mr. Taylor, Mr. Sokol on the second. Any discussion, Gene?
Just a question, I mean, we're gonna extend the contract for a whole year?
That's the intent, and quite honestly, we tried getting them here the last couple of months. One, they had an obligation, and the other time, I believe Mr. McCarthy was ill. We haven't had a chance to get them here, but we've been with them for, God, I don't know how many years.
No, I'm just questioning why so long, if we're gonna sell it
It's
in
been,
January,
well,
February, or
I
March.
think it's kind of contingent like the other contracts.
A whole year,
I
okay.
mean, we'll keep it, and then it's the obligation of the, centers to cancel if they want.
Is that the understanding of,
It's up to.
It's up to, it's not
Yeah, we
it's
have
not
special
established.
language that we've been putting in resolutions regarding this,
Right.
yeah.
Any further questions, discussion? There being none, are we ready for the question then? All those in favor of item 5B signify by saying aye. Opposed? Item 5B is carried. Referral from the Human Services Committee, 6, request to amend the county budget in the amount of $43,826 to reflect the receipt of Federal Trade Adjustment Act funds for the training of 7 dislocated workers. Chair will entertain a motion regarding item 6. Edna on the motion, second. Mr. Taylor, thank you. Any further discussion? There being none, all those in favor of item 6 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item 6 is carried. 7, referral from the Parks Operations and Management Committee, request to authorize the appropriation of $7,620.52 from the Gaslight Village parking fees and to authorize the reimbursement to the Village of Lake George for expenses incurred in relation to events, maintenance costs related to the Festival Commons. Chair will entertain a motion regarding 7A.
I'll move A through D.
We have a motion from Mr. Kennedy to move items A through D. Do we have a second to that motion? Mr. Merlino on the second. Any further discussion?
I guess
Right.
I don't understand it, because that was not discussed at the Park O&M Committee, and it talks about it being a event or maintenance cost, but if it's for the construction of the fence, it's really a capital cost. And that's not something we've been paying out of capital costs, we haven't been paying out of the event and parking revenue. That's on A. Is that?
Yeah, I understand your question. As you recall, we were going to pay for the fence out of 2015 and 2016 occupancy tax, which I believe was approved and has been approved. Exactly what this $7,620.52 is, Paul, perhaps you could help us with, I think Fred, if I understand Fred's question, regarding the fence, is that we authorized approval of the funding of the fence, through, the occupancy tax program, and he's raising the question, what is this?
They missed an amount, that's what happened. The fence was more expensive than what, was originally presented to you, and that's the additional amount that's needed to clear up the, fence cost.
But-
There's a little bit of confusion. B through D are the requests that came from the treasurer's office to cover the additional.
Right.
7A is what came to committee yesterday. Those are the invoices that the village brought forth, that they were seeking reimbursement for.
Oh, those aren't for the fence, then?
Oh, are you
No,
doing
no,
two different
they're
things?
two
Yeah,
different things.
I'm sorry, Paul, I should have
B
told
through
you.
D is
The
the
motion was items A through D, but,
two separate
Amanda's
issues.
making a distinction appropriately that A is, separate from B, C, and D.
Oh, yeah, they are.
Yeah, and
I
A
wasn't,
appears to be capital expense, and you're proposing to take it out of the O&M money.
Right.
Which I don't think we've been taking capital expenses out of operation and maintenance.
Yeah, unfortunately, I wasn't at that meeting
Yeah.
yesterday,
Well,
but.
we didn't discuss it at the meeting.
No, and that's what it says, it was not
7A.
reviewed or approved.
7A is are the invoices that you did approve yesterday, and those are gonna be reimbursed out of the parking revenues. B, C, and D are a different issue. That's $12,000 that the treasurer sent an email yesterday and said that B, C, and D were the issues that we needed to address to account for the 12,000 additional on the fence. But A is parking revenues, they're coming from different sources.
So the fence differential was an added $12,000, that's B, C, and D?
B, C, and D.
And we're suggesting that we just simply, pay for that using the same formula
Correct.
that you used to pay for the previous amounts.
Item 7A did not go through committee, Fred.
So 7A did go through committee.
Oh, excuse me.
B, C,
I've
and
got
D
it
did
reversed.
not.
7A went through committee. I'm not sure if that answers your question, Fred.
I mean, you know, in the note underneath it, it says it's for the Festival Commons perimeter fence in 7A, but.
That's for B, C, and D. 7A is on its own. 7B, C, and D are for the festival perimeter
Right.
bins.
The note is for the following.
Notice for B, C, and D.
Oh, I see,
Yeah.
okay. Okay, well, it's right under A, so.
Right, right. No, I,
Trick, it was trick.
That's a trick.
I could see where that, I could see where that threw you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Alrighty. We have a motion on the floor to approve 7A through D.
I know, you don't read this.
And a second. Further discussion? All those in favor of, the motion to approve 7A through D signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Items 7A through D are approved. Referral from the Public Safety Committee, Office of Emergency Services, request for a contingent fund transfer in the amount of $4,000 to Budget Code 3410-470 Fire Prevention and Control Contract to cover the cost of cause and origin fire investigations through the end of 2015. Chair, I'll entertain a motion to bring this to the floor for discussion. Mr. Merlino, second. Edna. So basically, this activity costs us more than what we budgeted, and now we're transferring from contingent up to the activity line, Paul? To,
Sorry, I was reading something else, Mr. Chairman. You're on.
item
number
8. Request for a contingent fund transfer in the amount of $4,000 to the specific code, Fire Prevention and Control Contract. So basically, these funds are needed to cover existing or anticipated costs through the end of the year. I see the chairman nodding his head yes. I just want to make sure the committee's clear on that.
Those costs are paid to the city of Glens Falls Fire Department. Anytime they investigate so much per investigation, they will be running more investigations this year. Highly recommend.
I see the Glens Falls supervisor shaking their head yes.
Well, no,
Alrighty.
I was at the, public safety, that, Brian did bring that up.
Alrighty. We had a motion and a second, correct? Alrighty, are we ready for the question then on item 8? All those in favor of item 8 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item 8 is carried. Item 9, referrals from the Public Works Committee, DPW, request to establish capital project H365 Bay Road pavement preservation, in the amount of $57,000. Chair will entertain a motion regarding 9A to bring it to the floor. Mr. Merlino, Mr. Monroe on the second. Any further discussion? There being none, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item 9A is carried. 9B, request to establish capital project H366 West Mountain Road CR 58 pavement preservation in the amount of $37,500. Chair will entertain a motion regarding 9B.
I'll move B, C, and D.
We have a motion to approve B, C, and D, B, C, D, and E. Edna, are you going to second that? Do we have a second from Edna Frazier on that motion? Do we have any discussion, any questions concerning B, C, D, and E? Right.
In D, I assume we're painting a bridge, not a bride, right?
Well, I'm not sure.
No.
I think I'm sure, but I'm not absolutely sure that we will make that correction. Okay, are we ready for the question? All those in favor of items 9B, C, D, and E signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Item 10, presentation of renewal rates for Warren County property and casualty insurance for 2016. Just give me a moment here. They have them in their packets. Item 10.
Thank you, Dan.
Right, okay. Hello. Alrighty, here we go.
Thank you for the late addition to your agenda. Every year at this time of year, we bring in the county's insurance broker, which many of you know is Lee Pollock from Rose and Kiernan, and he talks about our insurance renewals going forward for 2016. And we do resolutions. This year I combined it into one to approve the payment of such. We typically do this in support services, so those of you that are on the support services committee have heard this speech before. However, this year, the chairman was gracious enough to fit us into your agenda here today and not wait to do a meeting in the next week or so. The resolution that I have on the front of that is just to approve the coverages with the various carriers. Like I said, this is done every year by resolution. The money for this is built into their budgets already through all the departments. Each department's billed out for the insurance that they need, the cars that they have and whatnot. So that's my part in this. Lee Pollock is here to explain the chart to you and the changes.
Thank you. Thanks for inviting me in. I know you've had a busy schedule this morning, so I'll keep my comments brief. But certainly I'm obviously open to any questions. I won't go into the nitty-gritty of the detail of the charts, other than maybe hit a couple of high points. Everybody likes to know what's different, where are we going. And for those that have flipped to page 4, you'll see that the total cost is around 3%, and of that, 99% of that is basically just changes in exposures. For example, to keep buildings updated, at 3%, that amounted to $3 million increases in property insurance, and it's it's old cars go out and new cars come in, so a $22,000 car is replaced by a $27,000 car. So that is the lion's share of the differences. The rates are virtually identical. It's mostly just exposure increases, and then the other piece of the pie is claims, and I'll say the good news first, which is that 2014, 2015 have been good years. They use a 5-year experience rating. 2012 was not a great year from a claims, and we have had some claims. The county averages around 25 to 30 claims a year, and the expensive claims tend to come out of law enforcement, and that is mostly for defense, by the way. We win, however, there is a cost to that, and by the way, part of what we're seeing in the claims reduction is, for example, the Sheriff's Department has committed to online training provided by the insurance company, which is Nymir, and they're a specialist. There are over 30 counties in New York State that are insured with them currently, and I provided a little bit of their special coverages that they provide to counties in the very back of this handout, just for future reading. But they do a great job in terms of the coverages and the services they provide. That's really it for my remarks. The only other thing is, we're looking at again, a 3-year renewal, and I'm on page 4 of the pollution policy. And, interestingly, that policy, if you wrote it on an annual basis, would be, $48,000. So it is, it's basically buy 1.5 and get 3, get 3, to go to a 3-year policy, which is unique to that pollution coverage world, but that, if you paid annually, you would pay almost $150,000, for that, on a 3-year basis. I guess questions?
I have
Yes,
a
sir.
question. Because I don't see the total, we get to the, 1,002,137 by adding, on page 4 or 5, the total of 723, 231.90, plus the, 3 categories below that?
That's correct.
Okay. So just, is the committee clear on that? How they tie to that? The number that's in the resolution, and, the numbers that are on page 4, the total numbers that are on page 4 or 5. But
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I assume that West Mountain in here, that we're paying a premium for the whole year, and there'll be adjustments made at the sale date, is that true, or?
That's correct, yes.
Right.
any other questions? Fred?
I guess I just have one, I'm just curious that, on the commission, I see, a lot of the coverages, there's 0 commission, but then there's a service fee, is
Yes,
that to account for the ones where there's 0 commission?
that's correct.
Okay.
Any other questions? Are we looking for action on this resolution today, correct? Alrighty, do you have the resolution request form number 20 in front of you? Does everyone? I just want to go over the details.
It's in the front of your handout.
I'm sorry.
Right on the
It's
front.
in the front of, okay. It's in the front of your booklet, and I just want to, if there's a motion, it would be reflecting item B of the handout. Mr. Sokol, on a motion, is that a motion to approve?
Please.
We have a motion to approve. Mr. Merlino on the second. Is there any further discussion or any questions? There being none, are we ready for the question? All those in favor of the motion to approve signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Thank you.
I think given the hour, request items to be discussed by the county administrator, can we hold off on that, Paul? It's just a journal of transfers?
Yeah, I can very briefly tell you that there's not a lot of unusual transfers, except one might catch your attention, which is the $100,000 transfer from from gas and oil to auto supplies, and that was to cover a $21,000 grader repair, a $16,000 tandem repair. There was also $25,000 in tires for some of these big vehicles, very expensive, and some parts for $7,000. That covers quite a few of those things. These were unusual. The grader and the tandem in particular were unusual things that they would not have been able to plan for as part of their budget, because one was due to the accident, which I'm sure some of you may have recalled, and the other one, I am told, is due to an engine that blew. But I'm also told that there should be some insurance recovery that comes back to the county of that. We'll certainly follow up to make sure that that is pursued. But that's and I won't go through all the rest, Mr. Chairman, unless somebody should have a particular question, but I knew that one could raise some questions, and I wanted to just address that.
All right, item 12, Finance Committee actions required in the following items approved by the Personnel Committee. Personnel agenda items 2, 3A through E, 4A, C, 5, and 6. Chair will entertain a motion. And the engagement of Bart Laponov as well to the what was approved at personnel. Chair will entertain a motion regarding this. Edna on the motion, second. Bud on the second, Mr. Taylor on the second. All those in favor of the motion? Opposed? Carried. Any further business to come before finance? Mr. Chairman.
I don't know, do we need attorney conflicts to talk about the, request by Mr. Beatty yesterday? Do we need an attorney-client privilege discussion, or are you satisfied?
Well, I had a discussion with, Mr. Pelkowitz, and he answered, pretty thoroughly what my concerns were. So, I don't, you are going to executive session to discuss it, but I'm comfortable with what,
Well, I just wanna make sure everybody is comfortable. Is there-
I chatted with Larry outside earlier.
So are you
I'm
folks-
comfortable.
Then we can release it, unless you have anything else.
All right, Larry, thank you. All right, motion to adjourn. Taylor, Mr. Sokol, all in favor? We are adjourned, everyone. Thank you, everyone, for your patience.